Hello, and welcome to another episode of That Made Your List, a weekly podcast where an average, ordinary film fan, that's me, interviews other average, ordinary film fans. My name is Dave Kudger, and joining me on the podcast this week, we've got Zack Ford. Hello, Zack.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
No, not a problem. Thank you for coming on. Right, before we get started, why don't you tell myself and the listeners just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I live in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm a teacher, and I feel like that has become a kind of obsessive part of how I talk about myself. So I'm sure a lot of my experiences I relate through the movies relate directly to my life as an educator. It also means I'm on summer break now, so I have nothing to do but spend as much time on this podcast as possible. My goal, as it has been on Full Metal 5, is to have the longest episode ever, so I hope that you're ready for this.
Well, you've got a good old record to break there. We'll see how we do. Okay, fantastic. What stage do you teach?
I teach 7th grade, so it is 12 and 13-year-olds.
Okay.
Or it will be language arts, yeah. So it's that great year.
Yes.
Kids are all so nice and love adults and just respectful to each other. I'm happy where I'm at and glad that I can be part of these kids' lives.
No, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll dive into the questions then. Starting right at the top, same with everybody else. What's your favourite film?
So my favorite film is High Fidelity. I believe there is a bit of nostalgia attached to this, as in it was probably the first adult movie that really resonated with me.
Okay.
When I was probably 12 or 13. So it came out 2000. Yes. I saw it probably around 2002, and I feel like this was the first time where I kind of saw what I could look like as an adult, which may or may not be the best thing to compare myself to John Cusack's character, but just the kind of obsession with pop culture and the way he digs through his pop culture by making lists and thinking about it in that way was very relatable to me. And also, a lot of the romantic comedies I've seen up to that point were from a female perspective, and this was from the male perspective that was still very sensitive and fragile, and kind of, when they're growing up, there's a lot of macho ideas about what it means to be a man, and this showed me kind of how I felt I was growing up to be a man, which was a little more sensitive and thoughtful, was more accepted at that time too. So I think that has something to play with my attachment to that movie. And I'm just a huge John Cusack fan, and his charm kind of always works for me.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, always looking back now, it's the Jack Black role in this one. I tend to forget that he's in it every time.
And it's one of the Jack Blackiest roles too. It's him pretty much being himself.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think with those moments of Jack Black and some of these kind of daydreaming moments really help throw straightforward comedy into what otherwise has a little more of a romantic drama to how the movie runs. Tonally, it's pretty spectacular.
Absolutely. I mean, it's with Jack Black, the part was fleshed out. Obviously, it's based on a Nick Hornby book.
Yeah, it's actually my favorite books too.
Yes.
So.
But the screenplay-wise, John Cusack had a big hand in writing the screenplay himself, and that part was fleshed out and sort of twisted around for Jack Black specifically to fit him that well. It was done out more for him. So that's the director. The funniest thing is I've literally just realised the director, Stephen Frears, is from my hometown where I'm living now. He's from Leicester in England.
Yeah, which makes it weird that they decided to transport it away from England where the book was set. But John Cusack had such a role to play in it. That's why he wanted to do in Chicago. And I think that's as an adult too. I lived in Chicago for a few years. And moved out, and now I'm recognizing some of the locations. I know the Music Box shows up, which is a fantastic art house theater in Chicago, and it kind of adds a whole new layer of appreciation for it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I must admit, it's been a long, long time since I've seen this one. I have got it in my collection, in my DVD collection. So it's But yeah, it's been a little while. I might have to dig it out, 'cause I do remember really, really enjoying it last time I watched it. So it's
Yeah, I'll get into this probably later, but I don't often rewatch movies.
Right.
There's just so many new movies to take in. But somehow I still manage to get this one in every couple of years because it's just that special. I mean, a great sick day movie. Just
yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's a good feel-good movie. Okay, that's great. It's a good start. Nice study. Moving on. What's the last film that you watched?
So I just watched this morning to celebrate my day off. And a lot of the movies I haven't seen, I like my big blank spots. I see a trend that they tend to be about 2.5 hours to 3 hour long, since that's probably the reason why it's been so hard for me to put them in, especially as my attention span. And as I get older, I don't know if you relate to this as a parent now too. I'm not a parent, but as you get adult, it becomes hard to spend consecutive time watching long movies. I watch everything in like half-hour blocks. Yeah,
I mean, I compensate that, but I don't really sleep a great deal. I probably should sleep more than I do, but it's something that's been from when I was a teenager. I've never really slept a huge amount. I stay up late.
but since I had the point is, since I had the day off, or in all the future days off, I was able to put in a 2.5 hour long movie, and it was Gladiator. I watched this morning for the first time.
Oh wow!
To get into the obsessive way of how I pick what movies I watch. Recently, I started trying to focus on specific years. So last time when I answered this on the sheet, which was like 3 weeks ago, last 2 years I was in Cold Blood because I was from 1967. Okay. Because I was doing only movies from 1967 for a while, and I watched 25 movies from that year.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm watching specifically 25 movies from 2000.
From 2000, okay.
Yeah, which is all just me putting years into a random number generator and then picking out of that. So
that's a cracking idea. That is an absolutely superb idea. So we've got High Fidelity. Is High Fidelity on that list to watch again?
Yes, I actually am going to watch High Fidelity. I'm trying to limit myself to 5 rewatches because I have seen quite a bit of 2000 movies. Oh, wow. But yeah, so Gladiator, I just watched this morning. I enjoyed it for the most part. I just watched Aaron Brockovich and Snatch for the first time from that year.
Oh, that Snatch is one that I will watch time and time and time again. I love that film.
I really enjoyed Snatch, and it's probably one of my favorite Brad Pitt performances. Super ridiculous.
Right, but Gladiator,
yeah. Gladiator. I'll try to do my best not to say 10 answers for each answer.
you won't be the first person. You won't be the first.
Okay. But Gladiator is not without watching it, it's not really a me movie. Okay. I'm not much of a genre fan. I tend to go towards more blends of comedy and drama. Yeah. So action movies aren't always my thing, and the fact that it's 2.5 hours and a historical piece, it's just something that's hard for me to want to invest my time in. Yeah. But I understood I do make sure I could do all the Oscar nominees that came out in whichever year I'm doing. So that's right up there was a necessary watch. Yeah. And I mean, the action pieces are really great, so I was still able to get involved in that. That one scene with the tigers that they're trying to trap him into getting murdered.
Yes. Yeah.
A really, really excellent action scene, and well plotted. And I really enjoyed the Shakespearean aspects of it as well, with the tragedy and the drama. I don't think I'm ever going to rewatch it, just because it doesn't have the rewatchability quality that I need with something that's a little lighter and shorter.
Yeah. It's one of those ones. It's a strange one of thinking of someone that's, other than being sort of just coming through the ages now. Although then again, I suppose it's with me in my mid-40s ish now. I caught it when it sort of came out. I was at the right age to catch it when it came out.
And I was a little young. I was 11 when it came out.
Yeah.
So it wasn't.
Yeah. But as you say, it won 5 Oscars.
Yeah.
Best Picture, Leading Actor, Costume Design, Sound Design, and Visual Effects. As you say,
And it started off like Russell Crowe as being the big thing for a couple years after too.
Yes, yeah, it started off his or capped off a run of his that that really did bring him into leading man territory. Because although he'd sort of push forward in like the likes of LA Confidential. Was that before that?
That LA Confidential was before.
Yes.
And then Beautiful Mind was the year after.
Yes. The LA Confidential, Insider, then Gladiator, Beautiful Mind, Master and Commander, Cinderella Man. Is from there, but so it's really sort of Gladiator that set him on its road as leading man, and just cemented it on there. Joaquin Phoenix in this though, for me, is perfectly chilling and also incredibly sleazy towards his sister.
Gladiator often gets seen as this kind of very macho movie, but then Joaquin Phoenix is like everything but macho.
Absolutely.
He is very much just like pathetic and vulnerable and not fully able to like understand his vulnerability. And I think that makes the movie much more interesting than just watching a badass beat up a bunch of people.
Yeah. Oliver Reed's last film, in fact he died partway through production and they had to finish him sort of CG characterise him to at the end there in the last fight. I mean, it's he was due to be the one that buried the figures in the Colosseum
at the end instead of Djimon Hounsou.
Yes, yeah. Although it was going to be the wooden sword Gladius rather than that the figures. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I do. I mean, I watched it just the other day, partly because it was featured on John Roker's Cinephiles podcast.
Yeah.
It was over a 2-part one of that. I listened to that and I thought, it's been a while since I watched it, and watched it again, and it dragged me in again from the beginning when the taking on the I suppose they are the Germans, the
big war,
the big war band.
Which, with how like brutal and quick it was, reminded me, because it was not too after Saving Private Ryan a few years later. I wonder how much they modeled after that first scene, because just that big adrenaline kick and brutality right away, I found very similar.
At my signal, unleash hell.
It's like ripping the Band-Aid. They're putting you right into the chaos.
Yeah. Before
it's going down a little bit.
No, absolutely, and it's an incredibly quotable film. Through the Decimus Maximus and so on and so forth with it.
For some reason, the "Are you not entertained?" line, I've never been able to connect with the fact that it's from Gladiator. I heard it 5 million times of people joking around, "Are you not entertained?" And then when he said it in the movie, it's like, oh,
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, the main one there is my name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix legions, and loyal servant of the true emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. And that there, you'd expect that line where he's announcing himself, look, I'm back, you tried to kill me, I'm not. You'd expect that to be towards the end of the third act. It's not. That's smack in the middle of the film.
Yeah.
It's like, surprise, bitch, I'm still here. But one of the most with that point there, emotionally charged lines as he's facing him for the first time there, and like, now what are you going to do? As you can tell, I really like this film. I could talk about this film for a long while. That's great. Okay, we'll start getting into the genre films for a little bit now then. But what's your favourite action film? Action adventure?
Once again, action's not all fully my genre. I am screwing words. I told you that editing is going to make me more nervous, going to mess up everything. Okay, so, genre is not normally my thing, and specifically action adventure. So this is more of like a childhood pick, and I do have a love of Jurassic Park. I'm fairly sure I did see it in theaters. I tried to talk to my mom about this. I would have been 5 years old. Um, but I also saw Deer Hunter when I was 7, so my parents didn't really have
Yeah.
a lot of boundaries on what I was watching. So yeah, Jurassic Park. Yeah, as a child, and you're seeing like the dinosaurs are real to you, and you're looking at with such eyes of wonder as the characters are. So it really just kind of transports you into this world that I feel like every 5 to 10-year-old wants to be in. And my memories of it, I mean, I rewatched it many times, but for a while what sticks in my head is everything just from the first half. Just when they're seeing the world and seeing the dinosaurs and taking care of the hurt triceratops, and you see the brontosaurus necks over, just those scenes of wonder is what really kind of resonates with me more than when it becomes more of an action horror movie.
Yes.
In the second half.
No,
which I tend to forget about.
So I watched this, or I have memories of watching it. I saw it in the theatre with my wife now, but at the time it wasn't. 25 years. This, in fact, almost to the week. Almost to the week since this came out. And yeah, there you go. We weren't married at the time, but we saw this, and it was one of the few times over in the UK I can remember a film getting a standing ovation. It was opening night in the theatre in Nottingham in the UK. Because as Brits we're not very sort of outspoken with there. We're very shy and retiring sorts. But yeah, that film got a standing ovation. And I think we watched it because those graphics you could. They looked real. They were photorealistic. It's not.
I feel like they still kind of look better than the new Jurassic Park movies coming out.
Yeah.
It should work the opposite way with 25 more years of technology.
No, absolutely. Obviously based on the Michael Crichton book. The beauty about this, Universal paid Crichton $2 million before it was even published.
That's
a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
And obviously then given to Spielberg to work his magic with.
Yeah, but Jurassic Park also, though, being the great movie that it is, also is just really frustrating that they've never really been able to capitalize the same way after. It seems ripe for wonderful movies to come.
Yes.
And it just got more caught in the jokiness of it and lightness and the action parts of it rather than exploring the world in a newer and greater way.
No,
so yeah, in that the way that they've never been able to rekindle that flame, it's a little frustrating to think about. But you still had the first movie; it doesn't get rid of.
No, absolutely,
they're great.
Absolutely. I take it by the sounds of it, you're not a fan of the Jurassic World?
I enjoy it. It's
yes.
not the same. Yeah, and I'm not going to put it in as often as I will Jurassic Park. And when I have kids in the future, I'm for sure going to show them Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Jurassic World would not be high up on my list.
It'd be there for a completion of watching the films.
Yeah.
Okay. This has been brought up many times now, even through the Spielberg answers or through this one as well. But obviously, this was a hell of a time for Spielberg. Obviously, he was just he was editing this while filming Schindler's List.
Yeah, which, speaking of, is another one that I just got a 2.5-hour movie. I have to rip that Band-Aid off.
Yeah. I mean, that's one I've still not seen, so I don't envy you on that one. But yeah, and he ended up hating the T-Rex because of the way that it all it was taking so much attention away from being into this Schindler's List. The T-Rex was. The cast in this, though, is for an action film, which is what the second half of it is. The closest you've actually got to an action hero in it is the guy who plays Muldoon, who gets eaten off by the raptors.
But
yeah.
I think that's something that Spielberg does too. You wouldn't think Tom Hanks would be, a war hero.
No, absolutely.
And it would be fair too. He's casting for the great actors that fit these kind of real human characters he's trying to play. Because that's what's great, I think, too, is these characters, they're scientists. They're not really performing as, unreal action heroes. You can see them as real people put into this situation.
Yeah, No, absolutely. It's, you say Sam Neill and Laura Dern. Sam Neill, you can believe, would be a paleontologist. He's got the look down pat. Jeff Goldblum is playing Jeff Goldblum.
But I also could believe that Jeff Goldblum could be a chaos theory expert if he wasn't a movie actor. He fits the look for it.
Yeah.
Maybe just not with the leather jacket. That was a little too much.
Yeah, that was very much a mid-90s costume choice there.
I do remember having a Jurassic Park board game, which I need to re-look this up. I don't remember much about it. Yeah. So I just remember having a little, like, the illustrated standee of Jeff Goldblum's character in the leather jacket.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
I wish I could have saved that piece and used it in every game I play.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. We'll jump out of action and into horror. What's your favourite horror film?
Yeah, so I grew up in the worst time for horror to make me become a horror fan, because now so many horror movies have more depth and are more thoughtful and are just more interesting. But for years, I would just say I'm not scared of horror movies. There was just nothing very interesting for me within the stories. That's because through the 90s and early 2000s, it was very much trying to capitalize off what Scream did and became very oriented by teen.
A very teen slasher.
Yeah, and that just has never interested me. So I am starting to develop, more of a taste for horror. And probably my favorite that I really want to go back to, I don't love calling it a horror movie. Maybe more of a thriller, but is Freaks from the 30s. I believe 30s, right?
I'll take your word for it. I don't. It's one I don't know. It's a new one on me.
Okay. So Freaks is it's a circus horror movie, where it's really kind of brings you into the community of these circus freaks. And that's kind of why I don't love calling it a horror movie, because it's treating they used real people of different disabilities to be the actors, so some without legs, some of different sizes and stuff. And so I don't really like, if you call it a horror movie, it makes it seem like you're calling them monsters.
Yeah,
I don't love that, because they end up being antagonists in a way, but they're really who you're rooting for. The horror elements are them kind of taking revenge of these people that mistreated them.
Yeah.
And underestimate, but it's shot in such a realistic way. I think with them having actors of these real disabilities, and they all come off very natural. They're all amateur performers, and it's just extraordinary how they were able to make it feel like you're in this community. It's very much reminds me of kind of Altman movies like Nashville, and also kind of like Dazed and Confused. That it doesn't really follow one specific plot. It's more just ingraining you within the circus community, which helps you feel so connected to these characters and then feel their pain when they get kind of betrayed by the one able-bodied person around them. And then the revenge sequence has more power and is thrilling and shocking. And the one thing that you might know, if you don't know about Freaks, you might know the one line, which is one of us. Oh, they're like chanting. Yes. Yeah, they're chanting at a table, and at the end, that line kind of comes back as I don't want to spoil the movie, but it's a great kind of twist at the end of how they get their revenge upon this character, and I don't know, I think it's a very, very, I won't say beautiful, that's the wrong word, but it's like a slice of life movie that reminds you of communities outside yourself and helps build sympathy while also working as a horror genre flick and giving you those moments, which I don't think happens too often together.
That's fantastic.
I recommend it.
Yeah, this is one of the best things about doing this podcast, and not just for me, I know, but other people that have told me, that have listened to them, is they're finding new films that have passed them by completely, that they would never even stumble across or even think of looking at. This is one that when I stumble across it, I'll remember, and I'll sit down and I'll give it a watch. It's really
and now I'm looking at the IMDb page, and it was 1932, and the director Todd Browning also did the original Dracula, so he was ingrained in those classic monster movies.
Yes,
as well.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Moving on then, one that's a little bit broader, shall we say? So, what's your favourite drama?
Yeah, that is. I lost my list. Now I don't even remember what I wrote. Because it is such a broad category, and I say a lot of my favorite movies tend to really walk the line between a drama and comedy, which I think, with what I picked, or believed I picked, can you...
you went with Squid in the Whale.
Okay, Squid in the Whale, yes. And that many people could say is a comedy, especially as it's written and directed by Noah Baumbach, who I think is credited more as a comedy writer, kind of along the lines of Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
And how it's used, but what really functions for me effectively in that movie is the dramatic elements. There's no movie that has been able to connect to my life, and for me to really feel that he knows way too much about me.
Right.
Like, he delved into my childhood and put it on screen, and I was like, you don't have the rights to my life story, Noah Baumbach. It's that,
yeah.
It was that kind of movie which... have you seen Squid in the Whale?
I've not, no.
Okay.
It's one I've heard of at least, but I've not seen it.
Yeah, so it's about two kids kind of recently experiencing their parents' divorce and in the split parenting decision that they make and hopping between two houses, which is what I grew up with since I was 3. My parents divorced when I was young.
Right.
And just the kind of power plays that the parents play with each other and the different levels of guilt and how you can understand your parents in different ways and the relationships evolve based on, that situation.
Right.
Like, hit me, really deep. There is some, more shocking moments with how the kids deal through this that, I'm getting rid of the PG quality of this a little bit. So when I say I relate to the younger kids so much, people go, why? He just, spreads semen on books. Because there's a moment that he kind of goes through his rebellious years a little early from this and acts out in some overly sexual ways and does some weird behaviors, and it's I can understand I didn't do those behaviors, but the mindset that he was kind of in, where he feels like he needs to act out for the attention or is not receiving the parental attention, I can sympathize with and understand a little more. But I think in all, it helped me understand my parents' point of view and how they go through the situation. It is mainly shot in through the perspectives of the kids,
right?
But I think they do a great job at getting you to understand, the parents and their mindset during these situations as well, which are the best Jeff Daniels performance.
Yeah,
there is. It's so great. And it's also what brought us Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh, right, okay.
Breakout role.
Oh, wow, okay. As I say, I'd heard of it. I knew Jeff Daniels was in it, and that was as much as it went. It's one that passed me by, but okay, it's another one that
it's one I made my parents watch with me too, which is a kind of scary and interesting experience. Especially, I made my dad watch it, who's much more into Evie B horror movie,
right?
And so when I made him watch this little more kind of thoughtful, weird comedic drama, and especially when the father at the end doesn't end up in the best light,
right?
I was worried that was, when I say this is my life, that he's going to think I think these negative things, but it all turned out great. And,
okay,
it's a very special movie to me.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's again, it's this wonderful thing that we have in movies is the way that people are able to connect with them and tie their own life into them. Even as you say, it's no right to your life story, but this is how you see your life through the art of media, through the art of film in front of you.
Which is definitely how I kind of connect through movies more than some people connect through the technical qualities they can appreciate.
Yes.
The cinematography and the performances, but I connect more thematically and emotionally, which I think affects the fact that I'm not too drawn into genre films.
Right.
I'm better in the ones that are more, can relate to my life and emotions. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. We'll move on then. What's your favourite comedy?
So I believe I put Fantastic Mr. Fox down.
You did indeed.
I did. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I said this the other day on one of the Full Metal 5 channels, but I think Fantastic Mr. Fox is the funniest movie, and I think that's just how humor is just relevant to the eye of the beholder. Humor is very vast and specific, and Wes Anderson and Noah Baumbach, I believe, co-wrote this movie too. So
he did.
double,
Yes.
double Noah Baumbach for me. Their humor has always been directly in line with me. Just the idea of the possum just shouting apple juice, just that one line randomly, is just my favorite moment in the movie. And that to me is a laugh out loud. Other people think they're just like giggle moments, but I respond to kind of sillier, goofier kind of humor, especially when that movie does not spare in the emotional elements as well, which makes the humor have more impact.
Yeah.
I also am a lifelong Roald Dahl fan. Really what got me into reading as a kid. And Fantastic Mr. Fox was my favorite book as a 9 to 12-year-old, and I read again and again and again. Now, the movie, a half hour into the movie is where the book ends, but you still got Wes Anderson was able to kind of make the story a little deeper and dig in and pull some great things.
No, this is another one where obviously just voice-wise of it, George Clooney is so perfectly cast.
It's great, yeah.
And Fox. His voice is just so perfectly suited to being that.
Because that's when you realize a lot of the cocky charisma that we associate with George Clooney is very specifically in his voice. Because it comes out with the Fox character immediately. I don't love Meryl Streep's voice. I don't think she was really necessary for the role. I don't think we need Meryl Streep as a voice actor because her voice is not as specific as I feel like George Clooney's is. Yeah. But I'm happy that we can get her in a Wes Anderson movie at some point in that way. But Jason Schwartzman to me is one of the breakout voice actors of that as well. I think putting him as a child or a child fox you wouldn't think of, and it comes off so brilliantly, and his dryness with it helps kind of those sour elements of that character really come out. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, with Roald Dahl, Roald Dahl was a massive part. I mean, the stories of his have spanned generations easily. I mean, I was introduced to them and they were already out when I was a kid, so we're talking 38 years ago. When I was 5, I remember being in primary school and being told Roald Dahl stories. There's the transfer over onto film. This is the one that is almost pushed to the wayside, away from the likes of BFG and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and so on and so forth. This one tends to be the forgotten gem of the Roald Dahl adaptations. I tend to
because it's a little lighter and quicker. It's a smaller book.
Yes.
Which I think affects that. But for some reason, that one and the Twits, which is really forgotten.
Yeah.
I think because I caught them at a younger age, they tend to be for younger ages than Charlie and Chocolate Factory. Yeah.
But I mean, I've gone through them, and my children have got copies of the entire book, entire series of Roald Dahl books, so they're reading them again now. It's just the way that's.
My life goal for a long section of my life is to be a children's writer, specifically inspired by Roald Dahl and Shel Silverstein as well. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just wrote a lot of rip-off stories.
It's obviously the animation in it is distinctive to say the least, but CG is only used in one scene, and that's the flooding of the mine part. Apart from that.
We're going to get into Wes Anderson more later, but the fact that he was able to make his style so perfect within stop motion that it seems like all his movies should have been in stop motion. It's just such a natural fit that I never would have thought of before. And then he was able to duplicate again with Owl Dogs in a more dramatic way, too. But it's spectacular.
Absolutely. It's... with the Oscars, I think it was nominated for 2. I think it got
animated and sport.
Yes, and Yeah, animated.
It's
Animated, and yeah, the score. Yes, yeah.
I think Alexander Desplat, right?
I believe so.
Which I think was the first time I got more familiar with his music, and probably one of the first times I started to really focus on scores or like see them as listenable music that I can just listen to on my own time. Yeah, it's because it is a great score.
No, absolutely, it's a really really good film, and one that it's your classic feel good film. You sit down and it's one that just takes you away with it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and the brought kind of cuss into our language, and so we don't need to swear anymore. We could just say cuss.
Yeah.
That's the way I can let out some anger at my kids. I can just say the word cuss.
Absolutely. Okay, while we're on something that makes you happy and takes you away, what's the film that makes you happy?
Yeah, so for anyone that has gotten to know me through any of the fan trivia communities, this is super on brand. But it easily could have been my favorite comedy as well, which is The Muppets. 2011 Muppets specifically. Yeah. I think, the 1979 Muppets or Muppet movie, I think a little more of the time. I love it.
Yes.
But as far as it doesn't have the same over-expression of joy that I think The Muppets 2011. It's a little louder, a little brighter. Right. And those the happiness kind of in your face. Starting off right away with me and Julio down by the schoolyard, as you get to meet the new characters, they introduce new characters right up. They don't even put like Kermit in the first scene. Yeah. But you feel so like all that Muppet joy right away with that like super happy song. Yeah. I think me and Julio is. And then going into the first original song with Life's a Happy Song. I mean, happy's in the title. Yeah. So then I had no other choice. I wanted to go in the Muppets and be sad, but then they told me Life's a Happy Song, so I had to change my mindset. But it's like, and you have these performers that just express complete joy with like Amy Adams just is so perfect. Yeah, absolutely. For the Muppet world, and like Jason Segel had to like beg her to be part of this and send her like a video with the Muppets to ask her to be part of it. Yeah. And it's such a natural fit, and her like song performances throughout it with like her part in Life's a Happy Song, and she has the Me Party song later, are just like great goofy moments that can bring up any mood. The Muppets has just been a big part of my life since I was a child. I always resonated with the characters. With a big part of the joy definitely is how I always connected, but there's also humanity really expressed through these Muppets. Yeah. Which is what I express, like comedy is more resonant when it also has the heart and the humanity connected to it. That just makes it have more impact.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the first Muppet production to win an Oscar. Got it for Best Original Song for Man or Muppet.
For Brett McKinsey. Yeah, because another just like great addition is having Brett McKinsey from Flight of the Conchords. Just seems so natural. And the songs have a very distinct flavor that separates it from the other, I think, Muppet movies and kind of brings it into the modern time, but they're all just so funny. Man or Muppet is one of the funniest scenes in the movie.
Absolutely. What's his name? Tex Richmond.
Chris Cooper.
Yes, Chris. The role was originally written for Alan Rickman.
Oh, which would have been spectacular.
Yes,
that's all
it was obviously unfortunate. Is untimely passing as it was, but that would have been quite phenomenal. I imagine seeing that.
But Chris Cooper pulled it off pretty great. I feel like he had a very difficult role because he has the rap song, which as soon as it starts makes me want to roll my eyes. Yeah. It seems like an easy joke wanting to like entertain the younger kids, but he pulls it off so well because he handles it like so seriously throughout it that it is much more effective than I ever would have thought.
Yeah,
on screen.
Absolutely. As you say, the director was due to be Frank Oz.
Yeah,
on that, but again, he
heard he wasn't very happy with it at all. Yeah,
no, he wasn't best pleased, which is surprising because it's a really really good film. It introduced a whole new generation to the Muppets.
Yeah, I don't fully understand it because to me it like fully encapsulates everything the Muppets stand for. So I think there's like a specific problem he had with someone being a little mean. I don't remember like what character, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
no, he was upset that Kermit was living in like had a gated house.
Oh right.
That was part of it. That Kermit is more humble than that. Which I kind of understand, but that's very nitpicky.
Yeah, very much so. On what is the sense? Yeah, look, it's a fictional puppet. He's yes,
it's an important part of Van Gogh's life. So who is it me to say how he relates that? He is also Van Gogh's one of the best Twitter accounts to follow. Just some really deep thoughts and a lot of Muppet reflection. So for Muppets fans, they have to follow Van Gogh.
I'll have to give that a quick follow. Okay, right. We'll flip it on its head then. What's the film that makes you sad?
Yeah. So I cried at weird movies. My mom thinks I don't cry at all and talks about it, but it's just like it saves for the right moments. My like favorite stories of things that I cry is like Air Bud made me cry so horribly the first time I saw it. I was a kid, but the most recent movie I cried to, and it's like embarrassing to say, so I don't. Is Bad Moms Christmas is the last movie to make me cry, and there's no reason that should be that effective, but it just like kind of says that sad movies can be very unexpected. You don't know what's really going to come. But one that I believe I did cry at during the first time I saw it, but it is very, very once again specific to my life and what I was going through at the moment.
Yep.
Which Jeff Who Lives at Home.
Okay.
Which is another Jason Segel starring movie, and directed by both Duplass brothers, I believe, Mark and Jay Duplass,
right?
Who are another kind of director-writing duo that really kind of blends comedy and drama with a lot of humanity, and the way that I'm really drawn to. That's kind of the connecting theme between all these movies I'm picking. But the movie involves Jason Segel living in his mom's house, which I was not at the time.
Right.
But he was kind of very lost with where he was at his life, and then saw the movie Signs, and it kind of made him think that he had to look for the sign where he should go with his life, and he's just like following signs throughout the movie that kind of connects him with his brother and through other things. And the main kind of connecting emotional element you find out halfway through the movie, or they kind of hint at, is a lot of his loss comes to do with the recent loss of his father, and that's why him and his brother are both kind of getting disconnected from their family and kind of disconnected from life. And so a lot of it has to deal with how do you do a grief and find a way to move forward. And so when I saw this movie, I was a year out of college.
Right.
I just finished up an internship. I wasn't as like lost in my career path, but I think I didn't have a job at that moment. I was just trying to find out where do I go next. I connected to the feeling of, where's my life to lead, and I feel gone. And I was actually going through the passing of my dad at that same time,
right,
which kind of propelled me to just make.
Oh, I lost you a little bit there. Oh,
I lost it.
Yep, we're back again. We're back.
We good?
Yep, yeah, we are now. Okay, I lost you for a second there. The last tail end of that sentence, I think we lost you there.
Okay, so it's like once my dad passed, like the year after college, I was not in the mood to really fill out job applications or to think about my life, so I just like made a sudden move to Chicago and lived with my brother.
Right.
And so it was at a point where I just didn't know what to do next with my life, and that movie hit that, and at the end it really does connect into a pretty inspiring way of not forget that your life matters and that you have these positive connections with people around you, and that's really kind of the cure of anything you're going through. And it's kind of just like everything will turn out okay, to not worry and stress. And so, yeah, it was a very specific moment in my life for that movie to come out. So when I think of movies that hit me in that emotional way, that's usually what comes up first. Now, when I rewatch it and I'm at a different stage of my life, it doesn't have the same effect anymore. But
yeah.
that's the magic of movies, is how it can relate to you different ways and different periods of your life.
No, absolutely. Okay, we'll move on. We'll take it out of the sadness. What's a film you practically know the entire script of?
So this isn't completely a true answer because I know the script to nothing. When you read off that dialogue of Gladiator, that was like minimum 20 words. I was just so impressed because I can't remember the words to anything. I may have played a song on an instrument 30 times and still have to look up the song lyrics every time.
Yeah,
I just know how my mind works. It's the only reason why I'm not a famous actor.
Yeah, there's in my defence, there's not, or in your defence, there's not many films or even scenes from that film that I could actually name. That one is just one that I just love so much that it's nailed in there.
So I interpret it as like what is like my favorite kind of dialogue in a movie and script.
Yeah.
If I was to like copy quotes, I would have to look them up. But if I was to have to use quotes for anything in my life, I would pick Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So the original one from 1977. And once again, that's another book I grew up with as well. My mom read that, before I was verbal, probably.
Yeah.
Rewatching the movie as an adult helps you really realize the depth in all the lines and just the wittiness involved in it. They come off as playful and joking, but if you look into these lines that Winnie the Pooh says, they have such a great emotional depth. And then my mom actually read a section from Winnie the Pooh, the book, at my wedding, and it just says how, these stories and his kind of dialogue can have pull through different moments in your life and inspire you.
This is another one that from my childhood. Again, likewise, it just strikes home with me. My eldest boy absolutely loved Tigger. Tigger was his one, which I think is for all the kids of a certain age, the bouncy tiger.
Boy can really resonate with Winnie the Pooh, but that's the magic of Winnie the Pooh, is the characters have such specific personalities and identities that every person can find someone to connect with and see themselves through this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. The film itself is made up of it's from 3 of the shorts, The Honey Tree, Blustery Day, and Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2. That last one is my favourite of the 3.
It's very much kind of a loose, rambling movie.
Yes.
Which I think is unique for that time and for the genre, which I just think makes it have more charm and likability to it.
Yeah.
But it's something I can it is the movie I look forward to most showing my future children, because I think it's just such a special movie that can resonate throughout generations in time.
No, absolutely. It was Disney's 22nd full-length animated feature, and the last one to have any personal involvement by Walt. So.
And the mid-70s was not the best time for Disney movies. No,
not at all.
I for a while I felt like Winnie the Pooh was getting forgotten, and then through the fan communities I rediscovered that the love is out there.
Yes,
and I'm not alone, and I'm really, really happy they're bringing this back with the Christopher Robin movie, which I think, but in the previews, looks like it's capturing the heart.
It's hitting the right beats for it. I think is quite easily this way forward with that, because although, did you watch it? What was the one that was the teaser for Dumbo? Did you see the teaser trailer for Dumbo that was going on a slight tangent?
Yeah, I watched the teaser trailer. It does look pretty Tim Burton-y in the way it's shot, but I'm still excited. I'm really excited to see what they do with the pink elephants and parade scene.
Yes, that should be quite interesting. That'd be quite interesting. Okay, we'll move on. We've got a feeling we've mentioned him before. Who's your favourite director?
Yeah, so it was really between Richard Linklater and Wes Anderson for me on this. So I picked Wes Anderson, who And actually, Noah Baumbach was really close to being a choice, but I just relate him more as a writer. So if I had to say writer, it would have been Noah Baumbach. But Wes Anderson has what you associate more with director's touch, with his visual style being such an important part of his filmography.
Yeah.
And yeah, I understand a lot of people find him too quirky. I think the quirk is perfect to make me feel kind of in Wes Anderson's world and in his mindset without it being too much to make me feel like these characters can't be real. I still feel like there's a human connection to it, but the quirkiness helps the aesthetic uniqueness that I think is important to his films. Because when you're talking about like auteur theory, which I cannot pronounce that word correctly, so I'm sorry.
I pronounce it differently.
I blame my speech impediment. So it's the auteur theory is thrown around with a lot of directors, but I feel like Anderson is such an obvious one that you can see all the connecting elements between his movies because it's such a distinct style that separates him from anyone else. And it hasn't been a director that's been able to kind of meld that. Like after Quentin Tarantino really blew up with Pulp Fiction, a lot of people are trying to copy his style, but I feel like Wes Anderson, it was too specific for that to be able to happen. The director that I think has actually done that the best so far is the director of the Paddington movies. I think he's like the Wes Anderson of kids movies. Just his visual elements and imagination, I think, is fairly similar to Wes Anderson. But otherwise, he's not able to duplicate. But in such a dry wit to connect to like real emotional darkness that's in all these characters, I think melds really perfectly. And having that emotional depth prevents them from seeming like these broad caricatures of his characters.
No, absolutely. And he's been nominated for 6 Oscars. His films. Grand Budapest Hotel,
which is not the most. That's my least favorite Wes Anderson movie, and I'm very much on the outside of that.
Yeah, I mean that picked up 3 nominations: screenplay, director, and best picture.
But I think that one like exemplifies where I say the core can be too much, where it takes me out of the real world, and I feel like that movie completely escapes.
Yes,
but I can connect with the world.
Moonrise Kingdom for screenplay, which I must admit I've not seen.
It's a good movie. It's really weird, as you're saying this, that I think this happens with a lot of directors that people love, that it's the later movies that people maybe not love as much as what gets all the Oscar attention. It just like takes time for these directors to get known and appreciated, because if you had to go in retrospect, you would think Rushmore or Royal Tenenbaums should be getting this recognition over those, but didn't quite make his footprint.
Tenenbaum he got for screenplay. Again, Tenenbaums, I really, really love that. I am a massive Gene Hackman fan anyway.
And just such a great cast, and just shows he's really good at casting, especially since his characters are so specific. He finds the best person to fit each one, and has created such a great repeating cast that he can use. Being the Tenenbaums again, I'm from a family, although I've only got one brother myself. On my mother's side, she's one of I think 8, and Christmases and birthdays, it was everyone in one house, so the whole family was there. It was aunts, uncles, cousins, nephews, nieces, everyone in one house, and it was chaotic. And just watching film, I love watching that film. It also made it seem like in these big families, all these characters still had their own stories, their own lives. No one got. The only person that really I feel like did not get attention was Bill Murray's character, but he was not. Really part of the family. I love my favorite performance probably in a Wes Anderson movie is actually Danny Glover's, which I think his performance is so separate from what everyone else is doing, which is perfect because he's an outsider character in a way. He's fully ingrained in this family, but he's such a soft-spoken guy for most of the movie. But when Gene Hackman is kind of calling him out and being tough on him in the one scene, he just kind of like all his charisma and power kind of explodes.
Yeah.
They have more depth, but that's a great unsung performance in the Wes Anderson movie.
No, absolutely. Okay, we'll move on then. We're over halfway. Not doing too bad.
I gotta try. We're only an hour, and I gotta try to make these answers longer.
Okay, this is one that I can talk for ages on as well, so we're doing quite well with this. But what's your favourite film from your childhood?
Yeah. So there's a lot of animated movies coming up on my list and have already been. So that by far is probably my favorite genre. And when I was a kid, that's all I watched.
Yep.
If you ask my mom what's my favorite movie, she would say like Tiny Toon sing-along tapes. So mostly, my attention span wasn't fully there for longer movies. I watched lots of sing-along tapes. And I did have one specifically for The Lion King, but I still watched the movie Lion King a lot as a child.
Yeah.
I also saw that in theaters when it came out in '94, which is perfect age. I was 5 years old, right when the age where you want to rewatch the movie over and over and over again. But I'm so happy seeing like movies that my sister, who's 6 years younger, that she watched over and over again, which is like Quest for Camelot.
Yeah.
If you remember that movie, it's super impressive. But then she had these like shitty movies that she had as a rewatch, and I'm happy that I had The Lion King, one of the best animated movies ever.
Yes.
Grab upon to. It still hits so well now. If I didn't say High Fidelity, I might have said Lion King. That's my favorite movie.
Mm-hmm.
And just taking, the Shakespearean elements and making kind of appropriate them for kids.
Yeah.
Is pretty remarkable, and I think is what helps that movie, resonate with adults as well. Is having that tragedy aspect. That works so great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is Hamlet in the Serengeti, essentially, for kids. But
yeah.
I mean, I know they did a Full Metal 5 on Disney animated films just recently. I was mentioning this as God, I hope Aladdin's in there. Aladdin is up there. I think it's probably number 2 on my all-time Disney non-Pixar ones. This was on my list here although it was on my favourite animated one rather than the favourite one from my childhood, because obviously the age difference here.
Yeah, speaking of Aladdin, why I think Lion King was able to connect with me so much and Aladdin never really did, I've never really grabbed upon that, and I have not seen that since I was a child, so I need to rewatch this and thought. I think it's just I had such a fascination with the animals.
Yes.
I wanted to be, for 20 years, my life goal is to be a zookeeper, my main. I said, I'm telling you all my life goals. I want to be a children's writer and a zookeeper at the same time.
Which is not too bad. It ended up being a teacher, because you're managing a zoo full of children who write. So you've meshed a lot.
With the animals, I just did the next best thing.
Yeah.
I don't have to take care of their waste. Yeah. But I do have to pick up my rooms like a half hour every day. It's kind of like maintaining the cage. I was really drawn upon animals and big cats, and I think that just affected how Lion King was able to kind of engross me in it. Because it does, the first scene in Lion King, the Circle of Life scene, is my favorite first scene in any movie. I could just watch that and don't need to watch the rest of the movie because it's just such a little perfect short, I think.
Yes.
It's like painterly when they had the animals traveling through the savannah to get to the rock. The art is so beautiful, and the angles that they show each image from it is also adds to that beauty and that wonder. But it really kind of takes upon the wonder and magic of nature that really spoke to me as a kid and speaks to me now. And actually, I'm not a very spiritual person, but that scene is my example of spirituality. That reminds me, like, the world is bigger and grander and has, a magic to it than just my, lonely life, which is really comforting to me. But
yeah, the cast again, it's another one where the cast absolutely nails it. Jeremy Irons as Scar is.
Are you just a huge a Taylor Thomas fan.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he could quite possibly here be one of the best Disney villains of all time.
I put him right along Shere Khan and Scar. Both cats. Once again, keeping on that theme, but to me are the best villain. Which is going to my aunt, Jungle Book's my other favorite Disney movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just ones I connect to. Also, so I don't remember who did the voice of Pumbaa, but I feel that performance should have been like every movie afterwards. Like they really started to push Robin Williams in multiple movies after Aladdin. I feel like the Pumbaa voice is just as good.
It's Ernie Sabella.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It's and Nathan Lane was Timon. That's sorry, because they were one of the ones that they all the way through and into like their own series as well. They kept the same voice actors for them.
Like they had Lion King 1.5, which is pure comedy version of Lion King.
Yeah,
I find it funny.
No, absolutely. With Mufasa, there obviously is the before his tragic passing and so on and so forth on there, but James Earl Jones as that voice is just a regal voice. It's such a perfect voice for a king.
He had voiced the worst father and the best father in movie history.
Yes.
Vader and Mufasa. Yeah. I think it made me want James Earl Jones as my father for a section of my life.
Yeah, there's him and Morgan Freeman are two guys I could possibly sit down and listen to them read the phone book.
But I feel like there is often people make it out like what character in a movie do you wish was your parents or wish was your friend? And my answer would be I wish Mufasa was my father. I know he's a lion, but I think we could have made it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So wise and guiding, and the way they deal with his story arc and his death, I think is very it doesn't pull any punches. It handles it very real and very thoughtful in a way that is kind of good experience for kids to go through, especially if they're going through a death in their family, but it's a way for them to kind of get to understand life.
No, absolutely. It's another one where I don't think there's a bad song in it. I really, the Be Prepared one, I really, really, really love that one. Again, it's just Jeremy Irons who's just dripping in pure malice. Every single thing he says is getting...
I feel like your favorite song of Lion King has a lot to say about the person you are. I feel people that always want to pick the villain songs as their best song, and I just want them to think a little bit about what that because to me, it's the goal of life, so I think I'm the good guy here.
Yeah, I think that's quite possible. That's quite possible there. It's but Be Prepared, Hakuna Matata, Can You Feel the Love Tonight, which originally had got cut from the film.
Yeah,
Can You Feel the Love?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
it's a little. As a kid, it's great, but as an adult, it's a little sappy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Tim Rice and Elton John did a hell of a job on the soundtrack of this.
There was the other cut song that Zazu sings. I can't remember the name of it right now, which is not good, and that's why I got cut. But it's in the edition.
Yeah, it's okay. As I said, I could quite easily talk about this one and all the various parts on this, but we'll move on. In the same kind of vein, though, what's your favourite animated film?
Yeah, so I said at some point they become runner-ups, since I've already mentioned Lion King and Fantastic Mr. Fox. But animation, my love for it does run very deep, so it doesn't hurt any of my choices. Because WALL-E's another one that I can consider one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And I was, this is 2008, right? So I was 19 when this comes out, so it doesn't really have the nostalgia connect to it that some of the other ones do, but it kind of does as well, because it transports me to feeling like a child with the joy that I get from watching robots fall in love and all take care of.
Yeah.
But that first half hour or 40 minutes, is such a ambitious and brave feat for Pixar to do that just kind of hit me right away, with how magical it was and how thoughtful and it was, and the fact that they were able to get like kids to sit through basically 30 minutes of silence with noises. You would think was a hard feat, but they pull it off with such sensitivity and creativity that makes it work, and that makes the second half kind of fall short for people, which I still enjoy it because I still care enough about the characters. But that first half is enough to put that as one of my favorite movies. And just watching when Eve breaks down and Wall-E kind of take care of it, I think brings such a connection between those characters and really what helps you fall in love with him as a character.
No, absolutely. I mean, second week in a row that this has been picked as his favourite animated. We had Luca Fallon on.
Oh yeah,
last week, and again he had. This was his second favourite animated film because his favourite one had been nominated. He'd nominated on the second an earlier question. So
yeah, this would be number one
favourite second favourite film.
But it's so divisive for some people, which I kind of understand.
Yes.
But there's always those movies that make you hate other movies for it stealing its attention away.
Mm-hmm.
And so Wall-E has kind of given me an unfair hate for the movie Up. Because the fact that some people were like, I love Up and couldn't grab on Wall-E, I just could never fully understand, and just made me like completely want to bash aspects of Up to stand up for Wall-E. And a lot of that is my family told me we call it reference Wall-E so much as a term for when you over pump something up, when you make something seem so great, because according to them, I pumped up Wall-E way too much, and it was a letdown to them, and they will not let me forget it. And so it's made me vindictive to every other movie they love instead of Wall-E.
Yeah, it's, as you say, that first part there, it is such. I mean, you can tell the fact that Andrew Stanton and the Pixar crew watched all Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin films when making this, because the influences from Wall-E and what Wall-E's doing through that is massively. I mean, it's essentially an animated Buster Keaton film for that first half.
Yeah, and now think about too is a lot of their earlier movies, the kind of settings for them are in very like magical, fun places, like a child's room full of toys, or the ocean is full of magic and wonder, or like the island where the Bugs Life crew lives on Ant Island. It's also beautiful, and then you get to Wall-E, and it is a dystopian world covered in dust and trash, and like everything would be completely ugly and opposite of what they've kind of been creating. But the way it's shot is so beautiful. Makes it seem so real. You can like see the dust kind of in the air and the haziness of it. Yeah. Kind of immediately placing you in what the world that you're in.
No, absolutely. Ben Burtt, who does the voice of Wall-E, had just finished doing the sound design on Revenge of the Sith.
Oh.
Before this. And had decided he'd done that, and apparently he said to his wife, "That's it, I'm not doing another film with robots in." And then Pixar come and knock in. Would you mind doing so? Yeah, and then obviously the rest is history on there. The first Pixar film to feature live action on it, where they've got the Hello Dolly part on the TV screen that filters there, is actually
and there's also what's the store called?
Oh God!
Remember, I would lose that trivia match right now. But so, they have Fred Willard, I believe, the guy from the Christopher Guest movies.
Yes.
Yes, he is the owner or CEO of the company, and he appears live action.
Buying right. Not buying right, is it? So anyway. Yeah,
but he appears live action as well on the billboards for a section.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the same question that I asked Luca last week. Then, what does Wall-E stand for? We'll carry on with the trivia.
I do not know. Walls extreme.
Waste allocation, load lifter, earth class. There you go. I always thought it was just like a part of a wall and he's got section E, but apparently not.
Yeah. I just take it as a fun name for a robot.
Yeah, that's good enough. That's good enough for me. Yeah, an absolute, a brilliant film. And then the second half of it, that when it goes up to safe and he chases after Eve, who gets recalled, goes from this slow-paced, charming, watching this little robot go about his job, into the action, trying to save him and
Eve, and then eventually saving humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the little bits again of the cleaning robot, going around following his tracks and cleaning up his tracks behind him. It just it's pure Pixar. It is the best way of putting it for you. There's no other company, as far as I'm concerned, that can do what they do.
Then they went full 2001 for the last section too.
Yes.
Which I think is another kind of brave thing to do with kids, is evil robots.
Yeah. Okay. Right. We'll move on. We'll come away from the genre types of ourselves. But what's your favourite quote from any film?
Yeah. So once again,
after you told me that you can't remember quotes,
I can't remember quotes. I when I reference things, I'm much more likely to reference songs than I am movies as well. I don't know why, because I can associate it with a rhythm probably. But this is a quote I do love, and I believe I have said it before. And it's from the producers, the original 1967 producers, which I've seen a couple times. I rewatched it because I was going through all the 1967 movies.
Yep.
This easily could have been my favorite comedy too, for just like pure comedy, joy, and hilarity. Producer's great. The quote I picked, wonderfully delivered by Gene Wilder, which is my favorite comedic performance that he gives in this, and Oscar nominated, I believe, as well for this performance. Okay. I may have made that up, but through this, like, for the first scene is, I timed it and I forgot the answer, but it's somewhere around a half hour long.
Right.
It's like 5 minutes to a half hour long. Because it is a play, so it moves like that in the beginning. But within that, when he's meeting Zero Mostel's character, the producer, and they're pretty antagonistic for a while, and Gene Wilder's going through like a anxiety attack, and to get him out of it, Zero Mostel like throws water on him, and then he goes, "I'm wet, I'm hysterical, and I'm wet." And that continues, and it grows from there too, because I'm in pain, I'm wet, I'm hysterical. And in pain, and he delivers it so well. It's so funny, and as someone who can talk, not going through anxiety attacks, but can be very anxious in a joking way, and how I express it, so I can easily just pop this out.
So absolutely, that's fine. Producers this film, I think I've seen.
Maybe
I think I've seen it. I can't remember.
It's such a great script. It's my favorite Mel Brooks movie, which I think is not what too many people say.
Yeah.
Because it's not a parody like Young Frankenstein or Blazing Saddles, so I think it has like more room to breathe and find its own story. But there's certain aspects of it that doesn't age on the best, but that's true with most comedies of their time. The society changes, some of the jokes become a little more crass than they were originally intended. Okay. But it was, even for 1967, I know that was when they started to move to New Hollywood, kind of, and I think this kind of gets forgotten as part of that, and Mel Brooks gets forgotten as part of that, because I think the humor is so risky and so evolved from what came out in the 50s and 60s. I mean, the whole thing revolves around making a Hitler musical.
Yeah.
Springtime for Hitler. That I think, is pretty remarkable for the time.
Okay. No, that's absolutely fine. Right, again, who is your favourite actor or actress?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with my actress choice for this.
Okay.
I know I went 2 answers.
That's
My other answer was Gene Wilder, which we just talked about. Who I do love one of those celebrity deaths that kind of hit me, but they don't always hit me. But my other answer in someone I grabbed onto when I was young, and I feel like many people don't say her as their favorite actress, but I've always had a deep fondness as a performer for Natalie Portman.
Okay.
I think Natalie Portman has a lot more depth and broader range of skills than people give her credit for. Because when you watch things like Garden State, or even like when she was a kid and was doing Leon the Professional, there's more of a playfulness and a charm and a quirkiness to what she's able to bring.
Yep.
Been able to do that, and then you can have more of the stoicness that she can give in Annihilation. And one of my favorite performances is when she was Jackie Kennedy, and so she can really don't really associate Natalie Portman before with the ability to do real life characters in real life, and she just gave such a pitch perfect depiction of her, but also her during the movie, her way to twist interviews and to twist the way she wanted to be represented, and kind of made like subtle changes in her personality to deliver what she wanted to represent her, which was her kind of guiding way of how to perform Jackie Kennedy, was just done with such sharpness.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was excellent. But even as a child actress, I think Natalie Portman was great. I think she got a bad rap because of Star Wars movies, which I think I have not seen the prequels.
Okay.
So I've seen episode 1 when I was a kid, and I never seen anything after that.
Okay.
But so I think that helps me not have that.
Not tainted by it.
Natalie Portman. But I did when I was a teenager, I was really into the movie Beautiful Women.
Right.
Which was one of the young Natalie Portman performances, which I think was one of the best child actresses that we'll ever have. But she's developed in a pretty great adult actress too. And Black Swan's a great performance. It's not a movie that it's a little cold for my tastes.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No,
it's
although, as you say, she was there. She managed to get out of the Star Wars, the stink of the Star Wars, to nominated twice and won Best Actress once.
Yeah.
So she moved on nicely. I love Leon the Professional. That film,
I watched that recently for the first time for a show.
That is a film that I had on VHS, and then once everything moved over, it was the first one that I transferred over from VHS onto DVD and bought it on DVD again. It's just that film.
And her performance is amazing, and I think Shabazz Nair moves that. She's riding the line between trying to or wanting to be an adult and portray herself as more of an adult, but then you can see the fact that she's actually 12 or 13 years old.
Yes.
Comes out. There's still the fragility there in the moments that you see, she's not really as tough as she's trying to get out to be.
No, not at all.
Pretty remarkable. Yeah.
Yeah. It's again another one that she's able to go between the popular popcorn flicks, Star Wars, the Marvel films in Thor, in the first 2 Thors anyway, and come back the opposite way, go the opposite way, and do Black Swan, and even again the opposite way, and go the other Berlin Girl, where we go to period piece as well. So it's the range she's got on there is there. So no, fantastic, a great.
Yeah, and I actually think she works really well in No Strings Attached too, which is just a dumb romantic comedy.
Yeah.
But that just kind of shows her range as she can go to the mainstream comedic roles.
No, absolutely. I've not seen G. I must admit, I saw Annihilation. I'll be honest, I wasn't 100% sure what to make of it. I might have to watch it again.
It's a beautiful film, but Jackie, I loved a lot more than other people. I have for that director, Pablo Larraín.
Right.
Chile actually has a lot of great directors coming out, and they're starting to make their Hollywood debuts. And this was his first English language movie, and I think it was really great.
Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, we've come to the fun one, the one that always brings a smile to my face. What is your most overrated film?
All right, so I had to go recent with these next two, just because it's hard to fully understand, what they were rated at the time. If it was like a movie from the 70s.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I also try to pick, because a movie that I don't understand love for. There's many movies that I can say I don't like near as much as other people, but I can understand why they love it. And that would be like 2001: Space Odyssey. I can't find a way to connect with that movie, but I understand what other people see in it. But a movie that I like to be very to exaggerate this a little bit and just say I feel it is ruining youth culture and humor, and that is it's destruction of youth culture. That's what I like to say about the movie. Deadpool is, I think, a travesty of humor, and it gets way too much credit as a witty movie when you're delivering a joke every second. That's not wit. There's no timing to it. There's no timing to any of the humor because it's just joke after joke, and they're just like reference to dirty things without there actually being a joke. And the meta humor is the same. They're not jokes. They're just like, oh, I was in a Green Lantern movie, and that's the whole joke. And it's never been able to connect with me. I also, like, as a teacher of middle school kids, I had problems with the way it was marketed. I feel like it was marketed towards 13-year-olds and 12-year-olds when it's a really harsh rated R movie.
Yeah.
And, in our culture, especially American culture, and the violence that we're dealing with over here, I think it kind of glorifies that for kids. Now, for adults, I'm fine with that. But when you're targeting that towards 12-year-olds, it's just a little problematic for me. Because I could see some kids kind of glorifying that kind of violence while I was there too. So I don't want to be the like narc that says violent movies affect violent kids. I the way that Deadpool deals with it in such a humorous way is, in a fun way, it was a little uncomfortable for me with kids. But yeah,
no, that's fine. I was waiting there. I mean, I say one of these days I'm going to get this big button with a klaxon on that I can just jump in it and fire out the title on here. I love the film. The second one I enjoyed. I
have not seen it. I'm going to.
Yeah,
but I feel like if I like the first one, I probably won't like this.
No, absolutely. I will say, if you like the first one, you will like the second. If you didn't, you won't. They are hand in glove. They really are. They're two of the same. I think for the reason it resonated so well with, and those that did like it are the comic book fans. The comic book movie fans, was because the MCU and the DC films were taking themselves so seriously as well. This is a serious story that we are telling these serious stories, and the Deadpool comes along. It's like, no, we're just going to take the pen to this and ourselves and what went wrong previously. So it's those comic book fans that had Green Lantern and appreciated it was absolutely terrible. That was where that joke was aimed at. It was aimed at those fans rather than the wider public, I think.
But I think it's reached a wider public too, and I think it is because of the shock factor, because it is something that's new and seems like fairly brave humor. But I just don't feel like there's much more of a joke there more than
I don't think there is. I think it is essentially the same joke through the entire film. As you said, $58 million budget, $780 million worldwide. It's hit the public consciousness with it massively. The first R-rated movie to have a 3-day opening weekend of over $100 million.
Yeah, and the fact is, we already had a comedic superhero point that I think is better, which is Guardians of the Galaxy. There's just, I think, the dramatic elements that are routine in the Marvel movies are still in Guardians, and that's why people might not take it as the real comedy, but I find it so much funnier and so much smarter, and outside that joke. And we almost had the funniest superhero movie if Edgar Wright was allowed to do what he wanted to with Ant-Man, but...
Which was still not too bad, actually. Although Thor Ragnarok has then taken the crown from all of those, because that had me in absolute stitches again.
I think Taika Waititi and James Gunn, I think, just approached my sense of humor more than Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool does.
That's fine, absolutely no problem. As you say, it's when the marketing is aiming more towards the younger age, then there's issues. I mean, the marketing side I saw of it, I must admit, I didn't. Maybe it's with me that much. I hate paying the age card on there. I didn't realise that or have any connection with those people that were the 13, 14-year-old trying to maybe get to see it. That I loved a lot of the press for it was so off the wall with it. I managed to get my wife to agree to see it on her 40th birthday because of a poster of Ryan Reynolds lying in a field of flowers with Marina Baccarin saying, "Oh look, it's a Ryan Reynolds. It's a love story. You okay?" And she agreed on her 40th birthday to see it with me. But
I would. Yeah, I know that's not for my wife, so I wouldn't get her to try to see Deadpool.
Yeah,
got my wife to see Black Panther, which was, I think, the only superhero movie she's ever seen.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. We'll flip this on his head then, and go. What's your most underrated film?
These are by far, I feel like, the hardest questions to answer, just for the fear of how people are going to respond.
Yeah.
Underrated, overrated. Just the point of it. Yeah. But I think there is a connection to Peter Pan that I have in a sense of nostalgia that makes it a story that I feel like always works for me. And I use the word always because I actually did really, really enjoy the movie Pan.
Okay.
And hate it, and what I think people hated it for, the reference people make when they say, "How do you like this?" is when they sing the Nirvana song, and that's literally a 2-minute section of the movie, and they don't do anything else like that the rest of the movie. So reason people say they hate this movie is this one section, where I think otherwise the world creation and the cinematography are like very stunning. This is when you got to have me and Luca back to back. You should try to get them to talk about Pan too, because I know Luca hates the director, which is like I am. And I actually visually, he's just such a great filmmaker, and I think that was able to be put into Pan very well. And it was a new take and a new story, and I feel that's pretty refreshing. I think as a movie, it might be better than Hook. I think people have a connection to Hook as they were younger at the time.
Yeah, I probably agree with you there. Because I did like Hook.
Yeah, but and I think it's one of the most fun Garrett Hedlund has ever been, because he's usually not. But he gets kind of swashbuckler, which is just perfect, for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a much more well done movie that got some bad rap because of one goofy scene. Joe Wright's the director I was thinking of.
Yes, Joe Wright. Yes.
Yeah.
I think I've tried to watch this a couple of times. Admittedly, it probably in one of them was a Sunday afternoon when I'm more often than not I lie down and I fall asleep watching the film. Probably not the best time. And the second time was late at night, and I've fallen asleep to both times to do it.
I actually agree. I think it's a bad kids movie. I think it is not that entertaining for children. I think it could be a little boring and slow. I don't fully understand where all the hate comes from adults, and yeah.
Nominated for 2 Razzies.
Yeah.
Both for worst supporting actors, Rooney Mara and Amanda Seyfried. I
don't even remember her being in the movie. I didn't see it since it came out, but
okay, no problem. We'll leave it there. We'll move on. Name a film that you like that no one would expect. So it's almost a guilty pleasure type film.
Yeah, I feel like my taste is pretty broad, so there's not much that people won't expect. But I did mention this when I did Best Romantic Comedies on Full Metal 5, and this an honorable mention for me. Another just like perfect sick day movie is Fever Pitch. Another Nick Hornby book, but very, very loosely adapted Nick Hornby book that they made about baseball and the one guy's deep connection with the Red Sox, and how that affected his relationship. And it's Jimmy Fallon before he was late night. But Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore, I think, like perfect chemistry through it. Jimmy Fallon has never really been good in movies outside of Fever Pitch.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very charming movie. I think there's some nice to it with how it connected the real life footage of Boston making its historic run of the championship of the Red Sox, connecting that movie and that element. But overall, I'm completely done in by a charm. Me and a friend in high school were both like all about Fever Pitch.
Yeah.
So I think that connected to it as well. But it's a movie I can watch any day of the week.
Yeah.
And still like.
No problem. I mean, I obviously being a Brit, I have the remake. I love the original. Obviously, the original with it, 97 with Colin Firth,
which is more connected to.
Yes, it's more of a straight swap to it. I can understand why.
It's a memoir, and it's a very loose. It's a memoir that doesn't really have like a straight storyline, so it's hard to adapt as a full movie.
Yeah. But, that's great. So if Nick Hornby, obviously the second time that Nick Hornby's turned up, have you watched or have you read most any more of his? Or
I think I've read about 5 or 6 books. I really love one of his newer ones, Funny Girl, which is I hope someday gets put into a movie, which is all about kind of creating a show in the 50s, a British sitcom, and kind of that world at the time. And I think it would make for a great movie. And I've actually read that book a couple times.
Yeah. Have you watched? You seen About a Boy?
I have seen About a Boy.
That's one I really enjoy of it. I must admit,
his books are very fun and light, so it just makes them very easy to adapt into charming movies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, just diving back onto Fever Pitch for those Brits, because there are a few of you that actually listen to here. It was The Perfect Catch over here. It was released as, because obviously it was with it being Fever Pitch was already out.
The original Fever Pitch was on Netflix here for a little bit, and I watched half it and never finished it, just because that half-hour segment thing I do sometimes causes me to finish movies.
No, as you say, it's probably horses for courses. It's the perfect pitch over here, the perfect catch over here. Sorry, would never catch on. So baseball is, although it's slowly coming over, it's not as it's not as broad, obviously, as someone talking about. We call it football. I'm going to call it football. It's not soccer. Okay, fantastic. We'll move on from there. Back into genre types, or again a very loose one. Very classic film.
I mean, so my real answer to this I didn't put down, which is Casablanca. I just find that too obvious, not that talked about at this point. So that would be my authentic answer. But then to find something a little more interesting to talk, a little bit of a deeper cut is David Lean's Brief Encounter.
Okay.
And all the big David Lean movies I have not seen because of that 2.5, 3 hour thing that I said it's hard for me to get by. So I haven't seen Lawrence of Arabia, and it was Bridge on the River Kwai, I believe. Also David Lean.
Yes.
But I've seen I've seen Summertime and I've seen Brief Encounter, which are these nice trim 90-minute movies that you didn't think would come from this guy who became so known for epics. But because this is a very small story. It's a very small romantic drama between two characters that kind of meet on a train, and they're both already married to other people, but have this immediate connection, and it deals with kind of how they're dealing with this temptation and this chemistry with another character, in a very sensitive way without it going straight to melodrama. It does not delve into melodrama at all.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more reflective and thoughtful and real of what these characters. It's very easy to relate to, even 70 years later, the emotions that these characters are feeling. And I think it is an underseen classic that deserves more attention.
Yeah, no problem. Again, this is one of his. With David Lean, I've gone the other way. I've seen Lawrence of Arabia. I've seen Bridge on the River Kwai many times. That's another one that I mentioned last week. Because in the Bridge we have generally what's the type of film that's generally known as a Sunday afternoon film, where you'll have your Sunday lunch and you go down and you'll sit down, put a film on, and on TV is generally a film like that. And it's Brief Encounter I've not seen. It's another one, a glaring hole in my in my film knowledge with it all. So it's one I'll go. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just too different than everything else you got to know David Lean with, but nonetheless remarkable and intriguing and just beautifully shot as well. But yeah, perfect. Brilliant.
The penultimate question: what's your film with the best soundtrack?
So when I look through my favorite movies, I do have multiple databases. I keep track of everything I watch, and I think that's part of my connection to High Fidelity is I just make nonstop lists.
Yeah.
But so when I look through my favorite movies, two trends I see are there's a lot of children's fantasy and animated stuff, but then also tons of movies about music, about making music, starting bands, or soundtracks play a big place in it. So this was a hard question for me, because a lot of soundtracks I love, but I picked probably unfair because this is Stars and all the songs are written by a musician I already love at the point and still very, very, very much love is Once. I am a huge Glenn Hansard fan. I was a fan of The Frames around the time that came out, which is his original band. Yeah. But the soundtrack really is perfect and one of the best things he's done. Falling Slowly has gotten too much credit and should not have been the song nominated. So it's a little bit of a sappy song for me.
Yeah.
In the movie I before, When Your Mind's Made Up, which is just such a big scene of watching people perform. And I think what makes Glenn Hansard so special is that you can hear and see so much emotional truth coming out of him, and he just really feels the music, which is why Once as a movie functions so well, because you can just feel the emotional depth coming from fun thing. I do have some problems with the fact that it was nominated for an Oscar. Mm-hmm. I think song category is ridiculous, and it's always been the most ridiculous with loose rules that they can't always follow.
Yeah.
Because the songs were on a previous album.
Yeah.
Before they were not written for the movie, at least not Falling Slowly, because it was on the Frames album before that. So I don't know how that got.
Yeah, I mean, it won. It won in 2008. It was it actually won the Oscar.
It brought him notice and got him on the stage.
Yeah.
But the rules for that is just so loose.
Yeah, I mean, it's best achievement in music written for motion pictures.
I think it went a little undercover because he wasn't quite as famous as maybe some other musicians.
Yeah.
And honestly, he might have just not known that it was.
No. Okay, that's fantastic. I say I've not seen the film. I've not heard the soundtrack. Yeah. Good. Right. Final question. We've made it to the end. What's your favourite film franchise?
So this once again connects to books again. I was an avid reader as a kid, so there's a lot of children's books I love. But Harry Potter has always been a big part of my life. I caught on the first book soon after it came out. My mom read about it in newspaper or something and bought it for me, and was immediately drawn to the franchise from then out. And I literally grew up with Harry Potter because I am the same age as Daniel Radcliffe.
Okay.
So when the movie came out and he was 11 years old when he made it, I was also 11 years old. The character was 11 years old.
Yeah.
So it was just and it seemed like the books came out almost the same age that I was as well. So when he was 17, I think it was a little delay at that point. I might have been 19. But when the first one came out, I was 10, and just right around that age time to feel like I'm growing up with these kids, and just Harry Potter is just a very important, I think, thing to our culture with how it was able to bring, reading important again to kids. I know this is about movies, but I do love the movies as well.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, you're right. It made reading cool again for kids.
I just don't feel like we're ever going to get something at the same level as Harry Potter again. It was just such a phenomena, and the movies were too. I actually was able. I did visit London a few years ago. I was able to go to the studio tour.
Oh yes.
Which is a great experience to kind of get a look behind the curtains on movie magic, especially the movie of that scale, and create a world of that level, and to see how it's all done with models and certain rooms. I don't get disillusioned that way, so it didn't hurt me. I just found it really interesting. And
it's as a film franchise, is obviously nine films, 8 books, 9 films.
And I am the type of fan that will see every Fantastic Beasts movie opening weekend, and look forward to those coming out. I didn't love the first movie. I liked it. I hope they do the Cursed Child, because the Cursed Child is shit. But
I can't see them. I say I can't see them ever doing it. I can see them doing it because the Potter films made, I'd say the 9 film, just under $2.5 billion.
Yeah, but
the 9 films
without J. Rowling's permission. So if she doesn't want it made, I don't think they'll do it. They need her.
Yeah, I mean, the Cursed Child was written for the stage. Rather, obviously, the original books were written as just to be read, I think, rather than to be made for anything else.
And I am a fan of superhero movies, and I like Star Wars, but I've never fully connected those as other people have. So Harry Potter is the one thing where I can feel geeky enough to use the word canon, where I'm like, Cursed Child, I don't want to count that as canon.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's and it going back to the books wise, the progression in writing style is just phenomenal with it as well. The first book, the Philosopher's Stone over here, Sorcerer's Stone on your side of the pond, is a child's book.
Very much. In the movies too, I feel like grow the same way. The first 2 movies, which get a bad rap, I think they're 2 of the best movies because they're so perfectly into what those books were going for.
Yes.
With their children's books.
And as the story progresses, obviously there's the foreboding in that as well. Is each progressive film progressively darker, and as they grow, the menace grows with them. But the books went from being children's books, and as Harry Potter grew up, I think that because they were released as they were, I think she wrote in for the same audience that was reading the first book.
Yeah,
she was writing for that same person each time, so it gets older as the book goes on.
Yeah, it really helps make sure that the audience doesn't grow out of it, and then that really they build that deep, and that will last and then spread generations. And I think that's the magic of why that will always be such a part of our culture. Yeah. It's good.
Okay, and we're done.
Boom.
Not quite. Oh, I'm sorry, you are way short of the record as well. We're not starting again? No. Okay, thank you once again to this week's guest, Zack Ford. Just to remind guys, we're on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube. Please download the episodes, follow the feeds, subscribe, rate, review, all that jazz. Zack, have you got anything you'd like to plug or push or mention? Or
not really. I usually like to do really weird things on how to follow me, which is, I don't feel like it fits the tone of the show as much.
Not a problem.
But, it would be like, grab a seashell, whisper my name in it, and if I find the right seashell, then we can connect.
There you go.
Otherwise, you can find me on Facebook, on Letterboxd as well. I appear on a lot of the Worldwide Movie Games, Full Metal Media stuff. I do hope, we have talked about this for months, that at some point soon will be a podcast for me and Robert Parker, that if we get our act together, we'll actually get set up. So hopefully be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, no problem. So Robert's actually sent an email to be on here, so I'm hoping to actually either kick myself up the backside to get it done or nudge to get the answers back, but he'll be appearing on soon.
He will have news to announce for this podcast. We've been playing for months.
Okay. That's brilliant. Okay, if you do fancy being on the podcast yourself, then you can email the podcast on thatmadeyourlist@outlook.com. We're on Twitter with @thatmadeyour. iTunes, sorry, not iTunes. I told you I'd stumble over my words towards the end. YouTube is That Made Your List. We have a Facebook page, that's That Made Your List, where you can find all the episodes as well as the pinned post of the questions that get asked. So please get involved there, comment on the posts, let us know if I've been harsh or someone's made a poor choice or if you're surprised they've made their list. Just please though, don't be harsh, be polite. I've been Dave Goodger, he's been Zack Ford, and this has been That Made Your List.